Let's quickly run through the CHIMES model then, which is the 6 reasons why people slip and fall. You may have seen this photograph elsewhere. It's fairly common, and interestingly, it's not really a person slipping, and you can tell that because of the fact that his toe is on the floor instead of his heel. But anyway, at the point of someone slipping and falling, what is it that's caused that to happen? Why exactly do people slip and fall? We've been working in this field for the last decade, and we've deconstructed this whole scenario to come up with the 6 factors that really make a difference here. So these are the 6 things that do make slips happen, or not, if you can control them. And we've put those into an acronym called CHIMES. What does CHIMES mean? Here we go. So C is for contamination. So what is on the floor? A clean and a dry floor is not slippery, but once contamination is present on a floor, then it may become slippery. H is for heel. So for there to be a slip, a foot has to be involved. To what extent is our foot slip resistant or not? How can we control that and when? I is individual. We all have different requirements for friction. Equally, if we're doing things that are non-standard, such as pushing, pulling, twisting, turning, or carrying things, we have a greater requirement for friction than if we're just walking as standard at a normal pace in a straight line. And of course, if we're distracted, then we might not see a hazard, such as a spillage on the floor, which would cause us to slip. So those are some of the human factors that play a part too. M is for maintenance, and this falls into 3 areas. Firstly, the cleaning of floor surfaces. Secondly, the wear and tear to surfaces. And thirdly, change of use. All 3 things can have a big effect on the likelihood of someone slipping and falling. E is for environment, and the graphic here shows the weather, which clearly has a part to play, but environment also covers things like slopes, steps and stairs, condensation, lighting, noise, and things like that. And finally, S is for surface. So is the floor slippery when wet or not? Clearly, that's going to have an effect on the likelihood of somebody slipping and falling. So put all these together, and this is our CHIMES model. The key questions really about all of these are which are controllable and which aren't. So in some circumstances, you might be able to control all of these. In others, you may only be able to control a couple. So we need to understand that in more depth. Secondly, which are measurable and which aren't. So anything in life that you can measure, you can manage. Anything that's more qualitative is harder to manage because it's harder to track the outcomes. And so which of these should I focus on, and in which order, is the question you should be asking. Now, when we show this model to people for the first time, we typically get 2 reactions. Firstly, wow, there's a lot more depth to this than I thought, but actually this makes perfect sense. And secondly, with the benefit of hindsight, I've only been looking at perhaps 1 or 2 of these areas. So if that's your reaction, that's great because you've understood what the model is all about. And now we can start going into the detail, really explaining what each of these factors mean, what you need to know, and what you can do about them to reduce the likelihood of slip and fall accidents in your building.